Hey, I wonder what's in this fine looking speed rig holster here. Oh, nice. Oh, interesting. Whoa, what a double action that is. I wonder who did the action job on that revolver. Yeah, Hickok 45 here with Nagant 1895 revolver. By request. I've had a lot of requests to get my hands on one of these, and I have wanted to get my hands on one of these. They're really interesting revolvers. Let's take a look at it. So, we have a lot of ammo actually, except those are all empty brass, aren't they? Oh, no, wait a minute, there's bullets down in there. I'll be darned. We'll talk about that probably. So we had some ammo sent to us. I was going to buy one of these things. I've been looking for one for a few weeks. And lo and behold, I was going to order one from AIM Surplus. And they said, well, I'll just send you one. I said, well, okay, I won't argue with you. So believe it or not, this is a T&E gun. You believe that? Russian revolver made in 1943. T&E. Okay? I think they're trying to see whether or not it's going to be successful or not. Needed some testing done with it. So let's just go ahead and show you how you unload the crazy thing. So we have an ejector rod here. This actually serves as it helps stabilize the cylinder. You know, when you pull it out, you give it about a half turn there and pull it out. And then this swivels. Oh, look at that. Sam Colt would be jealous, wouldn't he? And you eject it a little bit like a Colt single action. And you pull this back, and you hope you're not on horseback and in a hurry. Pull that back. There you go. Unfortunately, spring technology wasn't around, at least in Mother Russia, right? Let's pull this back out. Boy, too bad. Sam Colt had not come up with his great ideas for the Colt single action before this gun was invented. Oh no, wait a minute. It was, wasn't it? 1873? 1895? Wonder where the Russians were all that time. I guess they were over there not keeping up with what was going on in this country. They must not have seen all the great Western movies, right? So anyway, that's how that works. All joking aside, you swing that around, get it lined up, and that serves as your ejector rod as well, okay? So, pretty interesting. Now you swing it over here, and get it right there, and you pull the base pin out, and you can take the cylinder out, of all things. Isn't that cute? Now, isn't that a fine piece of workmanship? Those nice screws. Again, Sam Colt would be jealous of that, wouldn't he? For those of you who have handled and fondled a nice Colt single action, and I know you've seen them here on this table, haven't you? A little different from this baby. But now this, well, the Colt single action was a military pistol actually, so was this one. But this one apparently got the job done, and it worked. And that's always the most important thing with a military, weapon of any kind. It has to work, be reliable, and be durable, doesn't it? So there it is. Now you've got a spring loaded. Look at this. See, that's an important component there. I'm going to show you how this thing works. This is a gas seal revolver. And that's one reason a lot of people have asked me about it. They've read about it, maybe never have actually seen one, and wanted to see how it works. You notice I can't get the cylinder unless I push that in. Okay. And it's not a swing out cylinder. This is not a Smith & Wesson. It's a kind of like a single action. There we go. I mean, it's really not a big problem. I've had that out a few times. And then we put the base pin back in here. And I don't have that lined up. I say it's not a problem. It hasn't been, but get him in there. And the base pin back in. The thing about this gun, I noticed that unless you know more about it than I do, there doesn't seem to be a half cock or anything that you have to use. Like with a Colt single action, you put it on half cock when you're doing any of this stuff, and that's how it's meant to be used. So get this. It waited for the video to start to be giving me. There we go. Just line it up. Okay. could be that. No, firing pin. There we go. I think that's got it. Okay. It hasn't been that big a deal. Okay. So that's back in. You swivel that down and go in there, give it a half turn, and we're back in business. And this exquisite loading gate, close that up. Okay. Now, notice the cylinder. It's double action. When you pull the trigger, it doesn't just turn it; it pushes forward. Notice that, the last step, and it seals it. Okay. And you see the cartridges when it's loaded. It pushes that into the forcing cone up here, the barrel, and so you don't get the normal gas that you get escaping between the forcing cone and cylinder face that you do with almost every other revolver on the planet. See, because it moves it up into position, not only up close to the forcing cone, it goes into the forcing cone, and we'll take a look at that, a close look, when I reload it and shoot it. Okay, and again, this is a double action, so it will fire either way. I can cock it and fire it, or just do all that with the trigger. Now, that's what I was doing there, and that's one reason I was missing. I didn't get too many hits out of those 7 shots. It's a 7-shot. It's an incredible trigger, because you're doing a lot of stuff there. It's probably about a 20-pound trigger. You're turning that cylinder, pushing it forward, and all that at one time. It's doable though. Okay, so let's load it up here. Take another look at it. This was designed and developed by Leon Nagant. You know, he was a Belgian industrialist, and you might have heard the name Nagant, right? The Mosin Nagant. We got those out on the table. Just as a reminder, these good old Russian firearms. And this cartridge, by the way, one reason I wanted to get those out, other than just for props, was they designed this, chambered it for the exact same diameter bullet, just for convenience sake. So it's 7.62, it's exactly the same as this. And just, you know, in terms of tooling and rifling barrels and everything, they just did that for, you know, expediency's sake. So that's interesting. A much different cartridge, of course, that the rifle takes, but same diameter bullet. Okay, so it's basically a 30 caliber, right? Now what we'll do here is I'll take a couple more shots, and we'll give you a look at that cylinder and how it closes up. What I'll do a single action, so we won't fire it. This is a weird little revolver. Now, you don't have to put it on half cock, and you can actually turn the cylinder. Notice how the ends of those cases are protruding out the front of the cylinder. How weird is that? It looks like they're empty, doesn't it, from a side view there? So let me go ahead and cock it. I've got it pointing down in range. I bring it up there, and notice what it does. Now, I'll put my thumb here in the way. So right now, you have that case sticking into the forcing cone from the cylinder, right? So it seals the gas, and as that cartridge fires, the brass expands, and so it seals, you know, even better. So you get virtually no gas escape there, and that's one reason this is the one revolver maybe on the planet that you might see a suppressor on it, and it would not be cartoonish. You know, it would actually work. In fact, I understand the Soviet troops during World War II, there were some scout troops that actually had suppressors on these revolvers. About anything else you see in the movies with a suppressor, you know, screwed onto the end of a revolver, it's bogus. You know, half the time it's a Smith & Wesson Model 19 or something, who knows what. You know, it's Hollywood, but not with this one. This is a very unique revolver because of its history and the design. All right, now I brought it out. I shot 2 cylinders before we started. There were 2 cylinders, period, in my life of this gun, and it shot to the left. I was holding on. I've painted over them now. I was holding right in the middle of the cowboy, and they were all striking him over on the left shoulder. And not a bad little group, but it was definitely to the left. Elevation was, I think, pretty good. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just leave it like that. This revolver actually, again, was sent to us by AIM Surplus, and the ammo too. So we thank them. Appreciate that. So well, you know, I may send it back, may not buy it, so I don't want to mess with it. Start hammering on the sights. But I got to looking at it. It looked like it had been moved over to the right a little bit. So I took it into the workshop and very carefully tapped it over to the left a little bit. Came out, shot another cylinder. And I think it's pretty close on, actually. Let's see, I'll shoot this little circle here close. Single action. Yeah, that's not too far off. I don't know. Try the cowboy again. I'll try and hold about the middle of him. Hey, can't argue with that. I think the sight's not too bad now. Let's try 2 liter there. Okay. Let's try that white target. That's a new one. Oh, the only other 2 liter got away. I see a flower pot right here though. I'll pop him. Oh, nice. Quick. Now you see it's empty, so we can do it more safely now with empties in there. You can see how it works. When you bring it, see it pushes that forward, that cylinder forward, pushes that case up into the forcing cone, the back of the barrel. Now, I guess I should test it for you, really. I should take a shot and hold my hand right there. I don't know if I'll do that. We could do that. We should have brought a sheet of paper out here and done that, shouldn't we? We might be able to dig up something and do that. Now, again, it's not like a cold single action, so you wouldn't want to have to unload and reload this thing too quickly, riding at full gallop on a horse. Okay. Now, actually, if you get that in position, I think you can, yeah, you can push on those, and they will tend to just come out. So you really don't need to use that ejector rod, I think, most of the time. Yeah, we might on that one. Particularly when it's still clean, they're going to generally fall out. This is a low pressure round. I think it's around 1,000 feet per second. It's not a, this is not a Magnum round at all. It's not that powerful, definitely. And you know what caliber it is, basically 30 caliber. And you know, it's not, it's just not a powerhouse. But the thing works, and it worked. And you got, what, 50 to 150 feet per second extra, you know, with that gas seal. So, you know, it worked, and nobody wants to be shot with one. Let's put it that way. We can argue about caliber and power and velocity all we want to, but you know, the thing got the job done, I guess, at least for the purpose of it. This was carried by Russian troops before the Russian Revolution, by Soviet troops after the Russian Revolution. Police, the military, security, it's still carried in places over there and around the world at times. This thing has not totally died, and you know, the Tokarev replaced it basically in the early 30s, 1930s, but it was still used a great deal in World War II, still produced, I think, up until the 1950s, and then the Makarov, you know, kind of finished it off. The Makarov pretty much finished it off, but it's still being used and not totally out of service. You know, it's not all cut and dried. You know how military weapons, you know, are implemented, they're issued. There's still places in the military for some of the old ones, and so anyway, you know how that goes. Just like now in our military, you know, officially, I think, generally speaking, most troops are carrying the Beretta 92, you know, but a lot of troops, as we know now, are carrying the 1911 again, that sort of thing. So it's a widely used gun for a long time, 1895, and extensively up through the 1950s, 60s, and still in places, you know, the thing is being used. So as strange as it is, it's a common revolver. Again, gas seal is what sets it apart from anything else. And then also the beauty of it. I mean, isn't it a gorgeous gun? So I just almost laugh when I work with this thing. It's like something that you know, Sam Colt you know, had someone work on, an engineer, and then he fired them because they I don't know. It's like an early prototype of a Colt single action or something that turned out to be a joke. when you look at the various components of it, because it has a lot of those same features, the loading gate, your ejection rod and all that. But it's, wow, is it clunky compared with a Colt single action. And I shouldn't compare it with a Colt single action. This was 43, the Tula. That shows you it's made the Tula plant factory. And what else about it? It's got a fine finish, and I showed you how it worked. I think I told you in another video or somewhere how I vlog how I figured out how to get this apart from a YouTube video. I looked it up. I wasn't sure. I could not get the cylinder out. I couldn't figure it out, and figured that out from YouTube of all places. There are some people doing gun videos on there. I don't know if anybody knows about that or not, but you might check them out sometimes. There's all sorts of gun videos. You can learn a lot on there. So this is these old guns like this are they're just such an interesting piece of history. And this one goes back so far is what makes it even more interesting. And there are a lot of them around. They're basically a $100 gun. They really are. Now the ammo, the problem is the gun is not very expensive, but the ammo is pretty expensive and not necessarily easy to find. So I was very appreciative of getting the ammo from AIM Surplus. And this is what it came in. It's a surplus ammo and on the box. And not being able to read what that says, I'll probably get 22 Plinkster or 10 Outdoors 9 to read that for me. But that's what it came in, that surplus ammo. And I don't know, John can probably read that, so we'll get him to look at it too. But, all right, let's take a couple more shots here. Well, you know what? Hey, 1895, doesn't matter. Clunky, doesn't matter. Weird cartridge. You got to try it on the gong. Tough trigger, whatever. There we go. Might have been going over. I was holding on the bottom on that shot. There we go. That's that familiar sound I want to hear. Let's try him again. All right. See if I can put one close to that other hit on the Cowboy. That may have been a fluke, but I think the sights are pretty good, pretty much on. All right, I'll take that group. I'll take snake eyes any day at that distance. Oh, there's a flower pot that has not been struck. Okay. It might be empty. Yeah. All right. This would be a good revolver for strengthening your trigger finger. It really would. We'll load him up again. What have I not told you about this? You know what? I don't know. I think I didn't turn that. Yeah, when you put that back in, either I did not turn it or it shook loose. Okay, don't know which it was. Let's see if these will come out. That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad because it's a little bit dirty. They all fell right out of there. I'll save the, I don't know, anybody reload those? Maybe I'll send those to the KGB 65. He reloads that 5.7 cartridge. He could probably reload those too. Just send him a bag of those and wait for the return in the mail. I wonder if I should try that one. I'll put him over there. Probably all right. That would be an issue, wouldn't it? You have to be careful with this. You bend the end of that brass, I guess. Probably not a big deal. But, maybe not best to start out with the end of the brass closed up entirely. Yeah, I've been looking for one of these. I surely have for quite a while. I've had so many requests, and was actually ordering one because I saw that they had them at AIM, and then I written the folks there asking them about getting my FFL to them and all that kind of stuff, and because I was trying to order one of those and some ammo at the same time and everything, and he said, well, we'll just send you one. So I said, thank you, appreciate it. Oh, and I've got my holster. This is a now I've got that, yeah, in there right now. This is actually an end-frame holster from O'Rourke. He didn't realize that he was actually making a holster for an 1895 Nagant. So I think I'm going to get back into IPSC shooting, and I might just use this revolver. Let's move down here a little bit. See, oh, we got some targets there on the ground we need to shoot. Huh? Whew, it's cold. Must be winter. Trying to strengthen up that trigger finger. Yeah, actually, you could shoot something, you know, close with a double action, and you know, in a combat situation. I'm sure it was done. It just takes a little strength. I've had some firearms with terrible triggers, so you know, I can shoot a bad trigger reasonably well, as long as it's pretty close. But anyway, this is quite a piece of history. You know, 1895, for those that don't keep up with math very well, that's a long time ago. And for a firearm that was designed all the way back then, and you know, made this actual particular gun in 1943, it's just really interesting to be able to take one and fire it and have that old ammo and see how it works. It again is a double action. The first, I think the first, what was about the 15-20 years, they were single action and double action. And from what I've read, the privates carried the single actions, officers carried the double actions like this. And then after World War I, then they pretty much just made it in double action. So, you know, double action, you can cock it with the trigger pull, and, for those that are new to firearms. And again, it's a 30 caliber. It shoots the same diameter cartridge as the famous Mosin Nagant. And interesting piece of history, I'll have to say, the 1895 Nagants. And I plan to carry this. It's going to be my carry gun, and I kind of like it. Life is good.